It's another Wednesday, so another Prime Minister's questions. And this week it was quite spicy. So I'm going to get straight into the highlights, really. We see a little bit of a confrontation between Starmer and Farage. And yeah, let's see how that plays out. He then also does attack the Greens because, well, of course he does. That's what he's known for, really. So let's see what he has to say.
I'm proud of the Equality Act that was passed by the last Labour government. We will always fight for working people, and compare that to Reform, who want to go back to the dark days where people can be discriminated against because of who they are, ripping up protections for workers and renters, and ending the right for grieving parents to take a few days off work if the worst should ever happen to their child. But, Mr. Speaker, I also have to raise this. A death threat was shared by Reform's Deputy Council leader in Lancashire against the brilliant member for Bolsover. It said she should be shot. When death threats were made against the member for Clacton, I stood at this dispatch box and condemned them outright. If he has any decency or backbone, he will stand up, apologise, condemn the comments and sack the individual in his parties. Will he do so?
Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At the age of 14, Michel Mandarin was forcibly removed from his home, the coral atoll of Ile-de-Quoi, dumped on the quayside in Mauritius, forced to live on food scraps out of bins. He has resettled those islands and yet now faces a removal order from yet another Labour government. So maybe twice in one lifetime, he's going to be asked to leave his homeland. Can I ask the Prime Minister, for a government that is full of human rights lawyers, within and without, why do the opinions and human rights of Indigenous Chagossians not matter to him at all?
Prime Minister.
So he has neither the decency...
Yeah, so he just avoided the question entirely there, Farage. And he's talking about the Chagos Islands because he felt that in the last few days he needed to take a long flight to the Maldives and stand in front of a camera and say, oh, they don't let you on the islands, funnily enough, which he already knew. It was just pointless stunt that he was trying to do there. And yeah, he's just completely refused to answer the question about the death threats. But there'll be a lot of that in Reform. There'll be a lot of those kind of attacks and harassments and threats. Because there's a lot of extreme people in Reform. As much as Nigel tries to dampen it or moderate it, that's always going to be a large part of his base. If they haven't left to go to Restore Britain and Rupert Lowe, which a lot of them will do. So yeah, he's refused to ask the questions. He's talking about the Chagos Islands, which is something that the UK have needed to give back for a long time, way before this Labour government. The Tories were going to give it back, but they kept pushing it off so that they wouldn't have to deal with it because they knew that it would look bad for them. But this was a UN courts decided this a long time ago. This has just been this is inevitable, and it's got nothing really to do with Labour or any specific government. It's to do with historical empire, and we need to give those islands back. It's as simple as that.
Nor the backbone to condemn a death threat to a member of this House, whichever party they are in. He doesn't have the decency or the backbone to condemn it and to sack the individual. And that just shows that his party have got nothing to offer the country but grievance and division. Look at their candidate in Gorton and Denton, a man who says anyone who isn't white cannot be English. No wonder he's been endorsed by Tommy Robinson.
See him mouth true there. I mean, to be honest, I think it's technically correct. If you're talking about English as an ethnicity, then yeah, if you're not born here and you don't have English heritage, then you technically can't be English. Where I disagree with Reform is, I don't think that matters at all. I don't hold any weight into your ethnicity or your heritage, really. I only judge the individual based off their character and their principles and their morals. So that's what not necessarily makes you British, but makes you a good person, is your humanity. And that's universal. I think anybody across the world can be a good person. It just seems anybody across the world can be a horrendous, nasty, evil person. So yeah, I don't hold any weight to it. But obviously Reform, I think it's very important that England is for the English. Whereas I think it's for the British citizens, which is everybody that was born here and everybody that's come over, got visas, and then became citizens. It's for all of us. Even the students that have only got visas that are here for a few years and then go back, I still think it should be a place for them. So, yeah.
Represent our country, and anybody who wants to stand against that hatred and division should vote Labour on Thursday tomorrow in Gorton and Denton.
Yeah, maybe don't bother with that. To be honest, I saw a poll today that said that the Greens and Labour were both on about 28% and Reform were on 27%. And it was like a total sample size of about 400 to 500 people. So it's a small sample. It's very level. It's not impossible that Labour could still somehow win, but I do doubt it. I think a lot of the people that go out tomorrow will decide to vote Green that were sitting on that fence, and I think they will just about beat Reform, but it could be very close. It could be less than 100 votes. And to be honest, looking at a lot of the street interviews, turnout might be quite low. I think people are quite nihilistic now. They're quite depressed with the entire, political establishment and politics in general. They're so disenfranchised that they might not vote at all. So it's just about who can get their group out the most that will probably win this by-election. But I do still think it will be Greens, but it's going to be close.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Prime Minister update the House on how the government is tackling the misuse of illegal drugs? And will he reassure parents in my constituency of Rugby and across the country that Labour will continue to disagree with the views and the voices of those who think that it is a good idea to legalise Class A drugs like heroin and crack cocaine?
Prime Minister.
Can I thank him for raising that? We are working relentlessly to tackle the supply of illegal drugs and expanding police powers to test more suspects upon arrest. The Green Party's policy isn't just irresponsible, it's reprehensible. Legalising, Mr. Speaker, cocaine, heroin, ketamine, and the date rape drug, GHB, a drug which we know is used to spike drinks for women. Now, whilst we're making that an offence, the Green Party's proposals would shatter lives, increase antisocial behaviour, and see drugs use running rife. And I have to say, as the father of a 17-and-a-half-year-old son, the idea that the argument is being made by the Greens that when he turns 18 in just a few months, it would be lawful to provide him with heroin and crack cocaine is absolutely disgusting.
Again, the evidence is clear that if you regulate it correctly, you can reduce the amount of drug abuse and addiction within your nation, within your state. Do you know who else agrees with this? David Lammy. He agreed with this in 2014, I believe it was. There was an article published where he was calling for the decriminalisation of drugs or the legalisation of drugs. And he sat there behind Starmer now, shaking his head like, oh, awful, awful. And it just shows that they're not doing this based off principle. They see how popular the Greens are getting, and they have to attack them for something. And they've picked this because they know that it is an unpopular policy. In general, if you just went to the streets and asked people, do you think drugs should be legal? They would obviously be like, well, obviously not, no, because they're dangerous. And whilst that is true, they are dangerous, it can be done in a way where it's safer and you can limit the supply, but it's not an easy thing to do. It's really not. It's a difficult thing, and you can see that in other countries that have struggled with it. But how's it different to what we have now? People are like, oh, heroin, crack, ketamine, date rape drugs. You'd be able to get them anywhere. You can get them anywhere now. With minimal amount of effort, you can get hold of those drugs. If you were that way inclined, it doesn't take much at all to get hold of those illegal drugs. The war on drugs has failed. We need to try something else. But yeah, they don't really care about fixing that now. They would much prefer to attack the Greens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister recently stated...
It's a Lib Dem. Doesn't matter what the question is. It's going to be irrelevant. Right, that's enough of that. Yeah, so again, there's a bit of back and forth there between Starmer and Farage. Starmer tries to attack, obviously, Matt Goodwin and attack the ethnicity argument. And whilst I think that Labour will get some votes still, probably of the people that are scared of reform and think Labour are the only reasonable option, I do think that the Greens will get a much higher percentage of support. Obviously, a lot of that will be the Muslim population that are there. I don't want to generalise though. It won't obviously be all of them. They're not just a binary, they're not just one homogenous group. They will have different beliefs and opinions, but in general, I think that they will vote for the Greens, and I think they'll just get over the line. Even though Denton will be more reform because it's poor white working class area where they're more prone to the fear mongering and the identity politics that reform offer. Tomorrow's the day, though. Tomorrow is the day where the vote will take place. So I will do a video tomorrow towards the mid-afternoon, evening, as it's getting towards the end of the vote, just see what the reactions are like, see if there's any more polls that come out, and then we'll get the results and see what happens. It's a big by-election. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe. This is only my 4th video, still fairly new at this, but I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. It's good fun, and it's nice to talk with like-minded people as well as adversarial people as well. Yeah, so I'll see you in the next one, and have a good evening.